Since I've been watching the Chair Company, it feels like it is a very fair time to look at the I Think You Should Leave custom figures that I have in the collection. With the Minibigs minifigure for the Dan Flash's shirt skit, as well as behind it the Citizen Brick eggs that are also from one of those skits. Going to be a little bit of a quick review, but some very cool parts. Let's check them out. First, let's look at the half dozen eggs, which are from the egg sort of game in one of the skits. First two animations here are going to be of feeding the egg, then goes to the end where it goes a little bit off the rails. You got the more just neutral egg here, the one where he starts pulling down his pants with a little bit of extra pants line on the back there. So nothing crazy here. It's all just black outline printing basically. You get a little bit of nice little detailing on the hands there, I guess, where there's a little bit of extra, line work. And we go to the other last two eggs where you have him pulling down the pants all the way on the front with a little bit of bush, and on the back, the butt showing. So a little bit goofy. Kind of interesting to see them kind of pull this out of nowhere to make stuff like this. I guess the actual sort of orientation for the episode would be looking at it like that. I was a little confused. I thought I had duplicates looking at the front, but kind of weird. They have done some misprints of these in different colors, so it's been kind of fun to see those. Nice little get, and it would be kind of fun to do a stop motion like the game with these pieces. I think you have all the frames you would need to do it, basically, other than, I guess, the motion of the, pulling down of the pants, I guess. But kind of neat and a fun, unique Citizen Brick piece, since they don't really do a lot of modern, more recent stuff, so it was good to get these. Onto the minifigure, this was something that was teased by Al for a really long time, so it was good to finally get it out. Has very intricate detailing on this torso, which would, really drive up the price. And I could definitely see people fighting over something like this. The combination of colors on here is really interesting with, I guess a little bit of lighter gray or just normal gray on the top there for a little bit of button action and collar. Continues to the back a little bit, but obviously the highlight is going to be like the Pac-Man, I guess, type colors all the way throughout. You got a lot of different crescents on the arms as well as on the torso. Interested, are these arms just mirrored? Looks like they probably are. So I guess that's a bit of a bummer. Maybe that is what the actual shirt design was like, though. But you can see on the main torso parts where the colors are a little bit all over the place and aren't just like an even design, where you got a little bit of pink in the corners with some thicker lines, which kind of carries over onto this side. So I guess it's kind of a transition from there to the back, and just a little bit of pink on the other side. So there's a little bit of an off-balance design to make it a little bit more interesting. I guess on the arms, they aren't 100% mirrored, since there is yellow and no yellow there. Feels like for the rest of the arm, though, it is a little bit closer to being mirrored, but I guess the pinks are different too. So will be 100% unique design all the way throughout the minifigure, it looks like, where nothing really continues all the way around. Facial design here, I feel like the tooth gap is a little unnecessary maybe, but I definitely think Tim Robinson kind of has that, so it's not the worst likeness. And I feel like this meme right here is very iconic from one of the memes from the show, where I think this is the "Are you sure about that" part of the skit. So either it's like a kind of crossover between the memes, or I guess it kind of represents a little bit of when he's talking about the store and everything. And originally he also considered doing pea pant legs to go with this too, but it looks like he settled for just a black pants design with a belt buckle design there in silver. Doesn't look like any other printing on the legs, so I feel like they probably could have just left that off probably and maybe brought the price down a little bit. Torso wise though, I think this is done very well. Watching the skit again, I feel like the colors should be like a little more faded maybe, or just a little cheaper looking, where this is very solid on the outlines. But obviously if you're printing, probably going to be a little bit harder to do gradients or anything, or make colors a little more faint. But shapes, everything looks like it is, pretty clean on the outlines here. And the face, maybe without the extra wrinkles, it could be a little more accurate, I feel like, to like what I would imagine in my head as Tim Robinson. But there are definitely frames of him making faces like that, so it's going to kind of vary on what you would want for the actor. But I feel like, again, torso here is stellar. Did a really good job there. Let's go to some comparisons and the final verdict. Minibigs and Citizen Brick definitely aren't strangers to making comedy icons. The Minibigs figure of Tim Robinson, though. Definitely think is one of the higher quality torsos that they've done with all the extra detailings and design work. Definitely gives the Dan Flash's figure here run for the money from the original show. It's going to be a little bit simplified due to the scaling, but I do think everything still fits together pretty coherently. The eggs here are definitely a fun piece to have printed in so many different designs. I do have a couple of egg prints that are misprints of different heads, like the Kurt Peep here. So not the first time that Citizen Brick has printed on an egg for sure, since I do have that one. And Minibigs has also done a bunch of different comedy show minifigures, and it's kind of that sketch format, whether it was John C. Reilly as his character or Eric Andre as well. So definitely not out of the realm of what they've done before. And obviously, Citizen Brick has also done a ton of Saturday Night Live minifigures, and I think that Tobias is also just a good example of them making random characters from comedies. So again, right in their wheelhouse for both these companies to make some nice pop culture pieces. And if you're a fan of those shows and those sketches, definitely would recommend tracking these down if you can. I know that they both sold out pretty quickly, so it's going to be a little bit tougher, but definitely worth the price if you're a big fan of the shows. If you want to see more Minibigs, Citizen Brick, or custom LEGO videos in general, check out all the content on my channel. If you want to help out the channel even further, feel free to join as a member for some extra perks. Like always, I've been Brooke Radiap, and I'll see you in the next video.